Now, how do we interpret this information in mathematical symbols? Of course, mathematics, it has symbols, and the symbols in this case we call formula. So a formula here is going to be defined by what the statement is trying to convey. So in this case we have y varies directly as x and inversely as the square of z. Now we need to understand this. Z, when it is just like this, it is more like a whole number. So since it is a whole number here, we need to understand this concept to say all whole numbers are fractions with a denominator of 1, which means that this set, it has a denominator of 1. Now, when we are told to write the inverse of this one, in short, we are told to reciprocate this fraction which we have right here. So we can say this, the inverse of this one, it can be written as 1 out of z. But we are told to say it should have a square. So we have to put a 2 there. So it is now this one which we are going to multiply with this x. So we say times 1 out of z squared. Then always we multiply with a constant t variation, which is z, always denoted by k. Okay, thank you. Henceforth, we can now draw the formula to say y is equal to k times x. We are going to have k x, then 1 times everything here. We are going to have this, and this is going to be the denominator of everything. Hence, this is the interpretation of what is being represented here on in the statement. Now we can come and find the constant of variation. So constant of variation, in this case, we are simply referring to k. Now, how do we find the constant of variation? We just have to use the data which we have been given on the onset to say the value of x is equal to 8, and the value of y is equal to 4, and the value of z is equal to 2. So where there is y, where there is x, where there is z, we are going to replace with these digits which we have. So in this case, here we are going to put 4, and then here on x we are going to say k times k, open bracket, which is 8 out of the value of z, that is 2, and remember to square. So in this case, we can say equals 4 is equal to 8 k out of 2 power 2. We deal first with the parentheses. So 2 power 2, we have a 4 here. As you can see, this 4 can go into 8. So we can say how many times 4 can go into 8? It is 2k and 4. We are told to find the value of k. We just have to divide throughout by 2, hence we remain with the k as 2. So this is the value for k as the constant of variation. Thank you. Okay, so since we have calculated and we know the value of the constant of variation, in this case we are referring to k, now we can proceed and find the value of y when x is equal to 4. When x is equal to, when x is equal to 8 and the z is equal to 3. Mind you, we have the formula which we developed from the onset when we are just trying to find the value of the constant of variation. So the formula which we have here is y is equal to kx out of z squared. So this formula is the same formula that you'll be using throughout your calculations. So in this case, since we are trying to find this one, in short here we want to find the value of y, hence we say y is equal to, what is the value of k? We have already found it, which is 2, just a matter of replacing, and then you say open bracket, what is the value of x? It is 18, something like this, and then you divide, then you say what is the value of z? That is 3. So 3, you have to square it like this. Hence, we can say y is equal to this times this. We are going to have that is this times this, that is 6. Then this times this, that is 2. Remainder 1, we are going to have 36 out of 9. So in this case, of course, here we just have to multiply to say these 3 should multiply how many times? 2 times. We say 3 times 3 because it is a square. So this times this is 9. So that's the reason why we found 9. So apart from that, now we can say how many times 9 can go into 36. So how many times 9 can go into 36? So that is 3. So the value of y is 3 because this is the times which 9 can go into 3 because 9 not 3. Of course, here how many 9 can go into 36? That is 4. So this is the value of y, as we have found. Apart from that, we come to the last one. So the last one still will stick to the same formula which we have here. So we can say where there is y, we just have to replace with the 2. So we say 2 equals, we are answering C as usual, and then where there is k, we put a 2 here, where there is x, we put 25 out of z, that is squared. As usual, here we need to understand the question first. The question is telling us to say, find the values of z. So the values cannot be 1. Values can be 2 or more than 2. So it is plural here. So language is very, very important. So since we are trying to say values x, let us try to find the values of z. So here we just say this time this we are going to have 50. Then we say this time this we say 2z squared is equal to this time this, that is 50. Hence we divide by 2, we divide by 2, we say this, then we are going to say this. And how many 2 can go to 50? That is 25. So after adding this 25, hence we want to find the value of z. Hence we just have to introduce the square root and introduce the value of square root here, the square root symbol. Hence square root goes with the square and remain with the z. So after adding this z, mind you, always a square root comes with the 2 solutions, which are negative and positive. So in this case, we can say negative or positive. What is the square root of 25? It is simply 5. So hence we can say, therefore, z is equal to -5, or z is equal to +5, and these are the solutions. Thank you very much for joining us. So you are free to subscribe and make a comment if you are interested with the way, so that we can continue thriving as we are helping each other. Thank you very much. We can continue thriving as we are helping each other. Thank you very much.